Hello guys, this is 12th Harbinger and welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to teach you how to build teams with Navia. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Navia relies a lot on crystallized reactions, so you will need to find characters that can help you trigger crystallized reactions, which means you need a sub DPS. And for other two slots, you will need buffers, shielders or healers. Also, Navia's Ascension 4 passive provides a 20% attack for every character with Pyro, Hydro, Electro or Cryo element in the team. I don't know why she is so racist towards Anemo and Dendro. I understand you can't proc reactions with them, but that doesn't mean you should exclude them from your buffing passive. This can stack up to 2 times, so you would want to have 2 characters from either Pyro, Cryo, Hydro or Electro to get the max buff. But you shouldn't be too much attached with this buff, as there are some scenarios where you might want to run triple Geo team like with Goro, or sometimes use an Anemo or Dendro character like Jean with Furina. Let's go over the best characters for every role one by one. Starting with sub DPS role. First we have Furina here. Furina fits in perfectly for the sub DPS / damage buffer role. Furina also unlocks the Marriage of a Hunter set, however she has a caveat of being used with a healer. But if you factor in the damage bonus, she brings a lot to the table. You can also build Bennett with full healer build with 4-piece Maiden's Beloved and healing bonus circlet to maximize his healing, and pair it with Furina's passive to give some team-wide heals. This method can work for gaining fanfare stacks, even though not as consistent as with healers like Jean, but he makes up for it with his huge attack buff. Also, if you have Seed to Furina, Bennett is enough to easily get the fanfare stacks. With Furina, you can use a dedicated healer like Jean, Mika or Charlotte. Charlotte can be the best fit here as she grants a stack for Navia's A4 passive, can buffer with 3 ringtails and also use a Noblesse or Tenacity set. However, Navia might shatter instead of crystallize. This is the main issue, but she is a great character for this slot. Yelan is an amazing option to use as she provides up to 50% damage bonus without any need for healer. She does require some normal attacks to proc her ult, but Navia's Geo Infusion from her A1 passive helps her proc crystallized reactions when paired with Yelan. Similar to Yelan is Zingshu, he basically does the same thing minus the damage bonus, and he also has less damage output than Yelan. Albedo is another sub DPS you can use. He has decent off-field damage and also provides a lot of Geo particles. He also unlocks the Geo Resonance, which is a damage boost to Navia. When we are talking about sub DPS, we of course can't forget about Fischl. She has high energy generation, which helps in reducing the team's energy requirements. She doesn't have any team buff in her kit, but she can use the elegy if you have it to buff your whole team. Rosaria can provide crit rate buff, and Lisa can reduce enemies' defense by 15%. Xiangling is another option, especially in AoE situations, but she has a very high energy cost. You can use second Pyro character, preferably Bennett, to help her with her energy recharge and also buff her damage. Now for the buffer role, you might have guessed the best character for it, and yes, you are correct, it is Bennett. He can buff and heal your team, basically the best choice to use. However, due to him being such a good character, he is high in demand. Goro, especially at C6, is a great option here as he gives Geo damage bonus, but you will need to run triple Geo with him. So your team will look like Navia, Goro, a Geo character preferably Zhongli for shields, and a sub DPS for blocking crystallized reactions like Yelan. Ningguang can give 12% Geo damage bonus from her Ascension 4 passive and also use the Thrilling Tails. She can also unlock the Geo Resonance. Zhongli provides resistance strength and also utilize the Tenacity set. Furina and Yelan are also included in this role as they provide damage buff. And for the last slot, you need characters that can help you survive. For shielders, the best choice to use would be obviously Zhongli due to his extremely thick shield and also resistance strength. He is also a Geo character, which means you will get Geo Resonance. You can also utilize the Tenacity set. Layla is another great shielder. Her cryo application helps you proc crystallized reactions, and her shield is also extremely strong. If you have built Diona instead of Layla, she can also be used. Although her shield is not as strong as Layla, she makes up for it with her healing. Also, her cryo application is not as good as Layla's. For healers, as I mentioned earlier, Charlotte is a great option with Navia, especially with Furina due to her high heals and also being a cryo unit which activates Navia's passive. She can also utilize the Thrilling Tails. She can make use of the Noblesse or Tenacity set. You can use Jean for more heals and get max stacks easily with Furina, but she doesn't provide any buff to Navia unless she uses the Noblesse set and Freedom's one. But she can be used to buff your sub DPS damage with very decent set. Mika can also be used for big one-time heal, which is great with Furina, and also him being cryo activates Navia's passive. He also provides attack speed buff, letting you weave in more normal attacks. Lastly, Deha can also work as she provides interruption to resistance and mitigates some damage. She can also utilize the Tenacity set. Now with that we know which characters are best for each type of role, let's take a look at some of our examples. Do keep in mind these are just examples and doesn't indicate that these are the only teams you could build. The general archetype of a team consists of a sub-DPS, buffer, and a flex that is usually a sustainable unit. You would want to have a Geo character in your team in order to unlock the Geo resonance. For the first example, we have Navia, Furina, Bennett, and Zhongli. As I mentioned earlier, you can make Bennett work with Furina with full healer build, and Zhongli is there because he is the best shielder and improves overall team damage. Yelan can be used instead of Furina. This will free up your Furina and let you use her in other teams. Other examples include Navia, Furina, Charlotte, Albedo. Do keep in mind with our shielder Navia can get interrupted a lot. Navia, Layla, Bennett, Ningguang. Navia, Fischl, Zhongli, Goro. Navia, Zhongli, Bennett, Xiangli. Here you can use Kazuha instead of Zhongli for buffing Xiangli's damage, but I prefer a shielder as they provide interruption to resistance. Navia, Charlotte, Goro, Albedo. Navia, Deya, Bennett, Ningguang. Navia, Furina, Jean, Yelan. Jean with Viridescent can boost Furina and Yelan's damage in this team. Although Navia doesn't benefit from Jean, she can get damage buffs from both Furina and Yelan. Navia, Rosaria, Bennett, Layla. Although this team does not provide Geo Resonance, but it is still a viable option. For more alternatives, watch characters that synergize well with Navia section of this video. Also, last but not the least, Navia can be used as a sub DPS. For example, you are using DPS Noel. She can proc Crystallize and pick up the shields to help Navia get the Crystallize stacks for her skill. And when you get the maximum stacks, you can swap into your Navia and shoot the enemies with your Gunbrella. These examples are for giving you an idea of how you could build teams on Navia. You can use this as a guidelines and be more creative with your teams. You can check out my Navia build guide video to know her best weapons, artifact sets and stats. I hope this video was helpful. Don't forget to like and share the video. Subscribe for more Genshin Impact content. Thanks for watching.